Number 8. Battle of Orok Bay. The Battle of Orok Bay was one of the most significant naval battles in World War II. It was a series of naval actions that took place in the Pacific theater of the war between November 11th until December 21st, 1944. The battle was fought between the US and Japan, two powerful naval forces that had been at war since 1941. The main objective of the battle was to cut off the Japanese supply line to Leyte Island, which was a key strategic location for the US forces. The US had captured Leyte Island in October of 1944 and wanted to use it as a base for further operations in the Philippines and beyond. The Japanese, however, were determined to recapture Leyte Island and prevent the US from advancing further into their territory. The battle was fought in Orok Bay, a large bay on the western coast of Leyte Island. The bay was heavily defended by the Japanese fleet, which consisted of destroyers, heavy cruisers, light cruisers, and escort carriers. The Japanese fleet also had air support from nearby airfields and kamikaze pilots. The US fleet, on the other hand, consisted of destroyers, battleships, and carriers. The US fleet also had air support from land-based planes and carrier-based planes. The Americans had a numerical and technological advantage over the Japanese fleet, but the Japanese fleet had a tactical advantage due to their familiarity with the terrain and weather conditions. The battle was fought with a great intensity and ferocity, and both sides suffered heavy losses. The US forces managed to sink several enemy ships, including Japanese destroyers and heavy cruisers. But the Japanese forces also managed to sink some US ships. The battle marked the first time that the US Navy used radar-controlled anti-aircraft guns, which proved to be extremely effective in taking down Japanese planes. The radar-controlled anti-aircraft guns were able to track and fire at multiple targets simultaneously and could adjust their fire according to the speed and altitude of the planes. These guns gave the US fleet a significant edge over the Japanese fleet, which relied on visual spotting and manual firing. The Battle of Orok Bay was a decisive victory for the US forces and a major loss for the Japanese Navy. The victory not only helped to secure the US presence in Leyte Island, but also dealt a heavy blow to the Japanese, who lost a significant portion of its fleet. The battle also demonstrated the bravery and determination of the US sailors, who fought valiantly against a formidable enemy. The sacrifice and heroism of those who fought in the battle will always be remembered in history as a shining example of valor and heroism. Number 7. The Battle of Jutland. The Battle of Jutland was one of the largest naval battles in history, fought between the British Grand Fleet and the German High Seas Fleet during World War I. It took place in the North Sea off the coast of Denmark on the 31st of May 1916 and lasted for approximately 12 hours. The British Grand Fleet, under the command of Admiral Sir John Jellicoe, consisted of 28 battleships, 9 battle cruisers, 8 cruisers, and 70 destroyers. On the other side, the German High Seas Fleet, commanded by Vice Admiral Reinhard Scheer, had 16 battleships, 6 battle cruisers, 11 cruisers, and 61 destroyers. The German plan was to lure the British into an ambush using their battlecruisers and destroyers, but the British were prepared and intercepted their signals. The battle began at 2:20 p.m. when the German battlecruisers opened fire on the British battlecruisers. Both sides exchanged a barrage of fire, and several British ships, including the HMS Indefatigable and the HMS Queen Mary, were hit and ultimately sunk. The British responded by sinking the German battleships Lützow and Pommern. Throughout the day, the battle raged on, with significant losses suffered by both sides. The Germans managed to retreat under the cover of darkness, while the British claimed victory due to their superiority in numbers and technology. The Battle of Jutland dealt a considerable blow to the German fleet and marked the end of their attempt to break the British blockade. It's widely considered a major turning point in naval warfare during the First World War and ranks among the most significant naval battles in history. It demonstrated the importance of naval power in modern warfare and the need for advanced technology and intelligence. Number 6. The Battle of Midway. The naval battle at Midway, which took place between June 4th and June 7th, 1942, was one of the most critical battles of World War II. The battle was fought between the United States and Japan, and it changed the course of the war in the Pacific. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto led the Japanese carrier strike force, aiming to seize control of Midway Island and draw the U.S. Navy into a trap. However, due to intelligence gathered by codebreakers, the U.S. Navy was able to anticipate the Japanese attack and prepare a counterstrike. The U.S. Navy's carriers under Admiral Chester W. Nimitz launched a surprise attack on the Japanese carriers and inflicted devastating damage. And as a result, the Japanese lost 4 carriers, their primary offensive weapons. The U.S. Navy only lost 1 carrier, the USS Yorktown, but it was later salvaged and put back into service. The battle was significant for several reasons. It was the first time the U.S. Navy had successfully engaged and defeated a Japanese carrier force. It was also a turning point in the war, as it marked the end of Japanese expansion. And lastly, it was a demonstration of American ingenuity and intelligence, as they were able to break the Japanese code and anticipate their attack. Overall, the battle at Midway was a remarkable victory for the United States. It was a combination of intelligence, strategy, and bravery that allowed the U.S. Navy to defeat the Japanese and secure their place in the Pacific. The battle wasn't only a triumph for the U.S., but it was also a victory for freedom and democracy. Number 5. The Battle of the Philippine Sea. The Battle of the Philippine Sea, also known as the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot, was a naval battle fought between the United States and Japan during World War II. The battle was fought from June 19th to June 20th, 1944, near the Philippine Sea, and it was considered the largest naval battle in history. The objective of the Japanese Navy was to inflict significant damage on the American fleet, preventing them from interfering with their operations in the Marianas. With this in mind, the Japanese sent out a large task force made up of 9 carriers, 5 battleships, 14 heavy cruisers, and other ships. The American forces, on the other hand, had 15 carriers, 7 battleships, and over 30 cruisers and destroyers, as well as various support vessels. With this formidable force, the Americans attacked the Japanese in a 2-day battle that resulted in significant losses on both sides. The battle was a great victory for the Americans, and it marked the beginning of the end for Japan's naval supremacy. The Japanese suffered heavy losses, losing 3 carriers, 2 tankers, 473 aircraft, and almost 4,000 sailors. The Americans, however, only lost 123 aircraft, a destroyer, an oiler, and 76 sailors. But despite the loss, the Japanese continued to fight, and this battle marked a significant turning point in the war. It opened the way for the Americans to carry out crucial operations in the Pacific, including the invasion of the Philippines, Iwo Jima, Okinawa, and ultimately the defeat of Japan. The Battle of the Philippine Sea was a triumph for the American forces, and it dealt a significant blow to Japan's naval capacity. Its importance lies in the many battles it opened up and the necessary steps it paved for the U.S. military's victory in the Pacific during World War II. What do you think is the most significant naval battle in history, and why? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and while you're at it, subscribe. Number 4. The Battle of Manila Bay. The Battle of Manila Bay stands as one of the most significant naval encounters in history. Initiated on May 1, 1898, it served as the first major engagement of the Spanish-American War. This decisive triumph for the United States forces, led by Admiral George Dewey, proved to be a pivotal moment shaping the course of the war. The battle began early in the morning, with Dewey's ships approaching the Spanish fleet, which was anchored in Manila Bay. Despite being outnumbered, Dewey was confident in his fleet's ability to succeed. When the Spanish opened fire, Dewey ordered his ships to engage, and a fierce battle ensued. The American ships fired volley after volley at the Spanish fleet, causing significant damage to the enemy vessels. The Spanish, unable to return fire effectively, were quickly overwhelmed, and after just a few hours, the Spanish fleet was destroyed, with several of their ships sunk and almost 400 sailors killed. The victory at Manila Bay was an important milestone for the United States. It marked the country's emergence as a world power and solidified its position in the Pacific region. The battle also brought attention to the plight of the Philippines, which were under Spanish rule at the time. It became clear that the United States would have to reckon with Spain's colonial ambitions if they were to continue their expansion. Today, the Battle of Manila Bay remains an important event in history. It was a turning point for the United States and shaped its foreign policy in the years to come. It showcased the country's military might and marked the beginning of its rise to global prominence. Number 3. The Battle of Tsushima. The Russian and Japanese navies clashed in a major naval battle in May 1905, known as the Battle of Tsushima. Regarded as one of the most significant battles in naval history, it marked the first instance of an Asian power defeating a major European power. Admiral Zinovy Rozhetsvensky commanded the Russian fleet, which was tasked with sailing from the Baltic Sea to the Pacific Ocean to support Russian forces in the Russo-Japanese War. Meanwhile, Admiral Togo Hayashiro led the Japanese fleet, having prepared for the battle over several months. The encounter occurred in the Strait of Tsushima, off the coast of Korea. The Japanese fleet held numerical and firepower superiority, boasting 36 battleships and cruisers compared to Russia's 25. Additionally, the Japanese fleet possessed superior training and tactics. The battle commenced on May 27, 1905, lasting just 2 days. Swiftly, the Japanese fleet gained the upper hand, sinking 8 Russian battleships and capturing 7 more. The Russian fleet suffered near total annihilation, with only a few ships managing to escape. The Battle of Tsushima proved to be a significant triumph for Japan, solidifying its position as a major naval power. The defeat of the Russian fleet played a role in concluding the Russo-Japanese War, which reached a settlement a few months later in the signing of the Treaty of Portsmouth. Today, naval historians continue to study the Battle of Tsushima due to its immense significance. It serves as a reminder of the crucial role of naval power in modern warfare and underscores the importance of proper training and tactics for successful naval operations. Number 2. The Battle of Salamis. The Persian Empire and the fleets of the Greek city-states engaged in naval combat in the Battle of Salamis in 480 BC. This decisive battle took place in the straits between the island of Salamis and the coast of Attica. The Persian Empire, led by King Xerxes, had launched a massive invasion force against Greece, and in response, the Greek city-states, primarily Athens and Sparta, formed a united front to resist the Persians. The naval battle at Salamis proved to be a crucial turning point in the war. Themistocles, leading the Greek fleet, capitalized on the strategic advantages offered by the narrow straits of Salamis and the presence of coral reefs, effectively trapping the Persian ships. But despite the Persians' numerical superiority, they were unable to maneuver effectively and became entangled in the straits. The Greek ships, being smaller and more agile, exploited their speed and maneuverability by ramming into the larger and less nimble Persian vessels. The battle persisted for hours, culminating in a resounding victory for the Greek fleet. The Persians suffered significant losses, compelling Xerxes to withdraw his army from Greece. The Battle of Salamis holds immense historical significance. It was a decisive triumph for the Greeks, securing the survival of Greek civilization. It also marked the conclusion of the Persian expansion into Europe and facilitated the ascendance of Greece as a dominant cultural force in the ancient world. In conclusion, the Battle of Salamis stands as a pivotal moment in Greek history, leaving a lasting impact still felt today. It serves as a testament to the courage and resilience of the Greek people, who valiantly defended their homes and way of life against overwhelming odds. Number 1. Battle of Red Cliffs. The naval battle at Red Cliffs was a pivotal moment in Chinese history. It occurred between the combined forces of the southern warlords Liu Bei and Sun Quan and the northern army led by Cao Cao. The battle took place at Red Cliffs, located on the Yangtze River in Hubei Province, China. Cao Cao, commanding a superior naval fleet, aimed to invade the south while the southern forces led by Zhu Yu and Zhu Zhiliang devised a clever plan to defeat him. Recognizing that Cao Cao's huge fleet was cumbersome and less maneuverable in the swift currents of the Yangtze River, the southern forces set fire to Cao Cao's ships during the night. They employed a decoy vessel to divert Cao Cao's attention while launching a massive attack. About 200 of Cao Cao's ships were burned, and many others sank as the flames rapidly spread. And the chaos caused by the fire and the subsequent struggle to save the vessels disrupted the Chinese army. The Battle of Red Cliffs had far-reaching consequences for Chinese history. The defeat of Cao Cao meant that he could no longer control the whole country, leading to the division of China into three kingdoms: Wei, Shu, and Wu. Additionally, it marked the beginning of the end for China's Han Dynasty. The battle's strategic and resourceful tactics employed by the southern forces, coupled with their courage and resilience, ensured victory against Cao Cao's formidable northern army. The naval battle at Red Cliffs was one of the most significant battles in Chinese history. Its outcome not only shaped the formation of the three kingdoms, but also contributed to the eventual disintegration of the Han Dynasty. The battle also exemplified the resourcefulness and determination of the southern forces in their triumph over the powerful northern army. Which one of these naval battles do you think had the most impact on the rest of the world? Let us know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.